Hey guys, I'm back again with another video. I know I've been putting them out a lot here lately, but nowadays in order for you to get views and stuff, you got to post daily and have the backups for the days that you don't record. But I have a very special guest here. He'd like to introduce himself. Jack, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you, Devin, for reaching out. And busy, busy. I haven't been home since November, and so this is the first week back in my my home state, Oklahoma. And actually, we've had 2 rounds in Oklahoma, but back in my own bed. I didn't even go home when we had the Oklahoma rounds.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What is the word I'm looking for? What's your roles being, in the ARENACROSS? So if you want to give a little bit of a background on you, give some people some insight on you.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, I've been racing dirt bikes since I was 12 years old. So I've been and I'm 47 now. So I've been in the sport for years, and I came up through the ranks, and I eventually started racing pro ARENACROSS, pro supercross, pro outdoor motocross. And I just, then I became a moto dad, so I mean, my kids raced, my daughter, and then my son, and my son's still racing with us today on the AMA circuit. So it was just kind of a natural progression to transfer into the promoter side of things. I mean, long story short, I've known Robbie McQuarrie, my other partner in this venture, for years. I mean, he's 7 years younger than I am, but we kind of came up through the Oklahoma ranks racing, and he was always on, the smaller bike, whatever. But eventually we were riding pro together. And so now, fast forward to now, both of our kids race, and we got together one night, and it was a bad night at ARENACROSS, right? He taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, let's go to dinner tomorrow night." And I knew right then what we were going to talk about. And so sure enough, we take our wives out to dinner, and he says, "Man, I've got a better mousetrap, basically. ARENACROSS is great, but it could be so much more. It could be what we had back in the early 90s, or I mean, the 90s and the early 2000s. And that's where we're at. That's what we're trying to do. I got in a little hot water by hashtagging making ARENACROSS great again at in the early stages, but I wasn't trying to say anything negative about the old promoters. I was just here to say, here we go, guys. We're about to bring this thing back to the Buddy Antunez and the Denny Stevenson, and then the Tyler Bowers days, and the Jimmy Gaddis days, the Dennis Hawthorne days. I could go on and on about the greats that have come through the ranks of ARENACROSS.
Yeah. That's a good point, because there for a while, the subject of ARENACROSS really dropped off, and going into the early 2010 area, it kind of dropped off. You really didn't hear about it. As a promoter, what is the future for ARENACROSS as of now? What are you seeing that's progressing the way that you want it to?
I think our goal is to create an event that these guys can come and make a living doing this. It's not a stepping stone. It's not where you start your career or end your career. That's what it's been in the past. Hey, it's either the road to Supercross, or hey, it's the guys that can't qualify for mains anymore in Supercross, and they're on their way out, and they can still make a living for a few more years. That's not what we're all about. This ought to be a standalone series where it's like, you can come here and make a living. It's not the road to anything. So I think that's where we want to take it. If it becomes that later on, so be it. But it'll become that because we made it great again. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I mean, and when I'm talking about making a living, I mean, you know, the points fund at the end of the year used to be 100,000. You know, I mean, these guys were racing for big money. Back when I was racing ARENACROSS, you had semi trucks in the pit areas. You know, I mean, it was a big deal. You know, you had the factory teams, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Honda had teams. I mean, you know, we're starting to see that slowly take place again. People are calling and emailing. I told you I don't like email. People are starting to message us and say, hey, wow, we're interested. We're going to jump back in. We're bringing the teams back. And yeah, I think that's the future. You know, if you're asking me where this thing's going, it's going big again. It's not something that's we're not going to play second fiddle to anything anymore. You know, if you've seen our TV coverage, if you've seen our social media presence, we're doing it right, or we're not going to do it.
Yeah. Let's talk about a top name right now, Kyle Bitterman. What is your take on seeing his progress in this?
Man, Bitterman, I hate to say I have favorites, but I do. And the Bitterman camp, man, let me tell you, they're class act. You know, I mean, Kyle Bitterman, he's sitting in second right now. So he's not, you know, he's not the top rider. Kyle Peters is the top rider right now. He's sitting, I don't know, don't get me to lying. He's probably sitting 30 points or more ahead of second right now. So, I mean, you know, Peters is a 3-time champ. If you had to call it right now, yeah, he's gonna win it for the 4th year. But anything can happen. The Bitterman camp, some of the best dudes in the pits. They carry themselves with the utmost professionalism. They bring another level of professionalism to the track. Okay, I mean, when they show up with a big presence. You know, everything from the team shirts to the team jackets to the big rig and the sponsor with the big bucks. I mean, Jason and Ashley, the team owners, top notch, man. I don't even know. I can't say enough about them. And now they've brought on another rider this year, which was your B-class champion last year, Blake Smith. So now they've got 2 guys, you know, vying for that main event win.
Yeah. The upcoming schedule or the rounds, what can the riders be looking forward to as far as track layout? Any surprises?
You know what? I don't know about surprises. You can only change ARENACROSS so many different ways. You know, the start has to be 1 lane. You know, you're looking at these arenas that are roughly 200 feet by 100, right? I mean, Lazy E Arena in Guthrie, Oklahoma was 440 feet. That's double the size. Yeah. Reno, we just got done with Reno a few weeks ago. Reno was like probably the 2nd biggest venue. But now we kind of go back into the smaller ones. And so, I mean, the track layout, we've got what I believe the best ARENACROSS track builders in the U.S. You've got Vernon McKitty with VMAC Tracks. He's a former pro supercross racer, and he's got some great guys on his crew. Drew McMillan, my son Jackson Brassfield is actually on his crew, and he doubles as a pro racer as well. But Vern, I mean, you talk about track builders. He was a top 15 supercross guy in his day. So that's very key, in my opinion. I've seen track builders in ARENACROSS, you know, not to, you know, drop any names or whatever, but I've seen track builders that are great at building tracks, but they weren't pro level riders. And that's not saying anything negative or positive about anyone. I'm just saying there's an element to that we bring with Vernon McKitty. He was a top level supercross racer. He knows what these guys are capable of. He knows the line, you know, to where, hey, this is too hairy and this is too weak. I feel like last year they had to, they had amateur day along with pros last year.
Yeah.
That's one thing we X'd out. Because if you're mixing the amateurs in, you've got to build a track that's for a PW50 or a 450 pro.
Yeah.
And that's the pros. They didn't like that. This year, they're excited when they get there to see this pro level track with the whoops that are thigh high, and the catapult jump is a catapult. It's a double. There's nothing in the middle. There's none of this tabletop, hey, everybody can jump it. No, I've seen some of these pro riders show up on Thursday press day, and it take 7 or 8 laps for them to hit this finish line double. So anyway, Vern with VMAC Tracks brings a new element to this series.
Yeah. Let's talk about the earlier on the phone call. You said that some pros had some crazy reactions after round 1. Tell me what that was about.
You know what? 3 or 4 months before the series started, I talked to Robbie and Wayne, my partners, about some of the extra stuff we've got to bring. Like the champagne, like the trophies. Okay, they weren't getting that last year. They got that at the final round. They popped champagne and they got huge trophies. They were waist high. At the final round, but they weren't getting anything every weekend. They just got their money, which was, in my opinion, peanuts. And they didn't get trophies. So anyway, we started designing these trophies. And actually that's one of the funnest things I get to do during the week is design, several weeks in advance, the trophies. I'm having a blast doing that. If you've seen them, you'll know what I mean. We're talking about, 15 to 18 inch cups, huge cups with a huge marble base for first place. Second and third place are nice glass awards. These things are heavy. I made sure, I know this is just real simple, but it's the little things that make a difference when you're handing that trophy to them and they're like, oh, dang, this is heavy. Yeah, because we care. We care about you guys. Yeah. I was that pro rider that was barely making the mains and sleeping in my van. And, to me, the heavy trophy, giving a trophy, to me, it says we care about you. And the reaction you're talking about, we handed it to a few of the guys at round 1, and they thought it was just for a photo op. They thought it was just hold this while Mav TV gets you, and we were like, no, this is yours. Take it home, put it on the mantle. And next week we've got 6 more, because we've got 2 mains, so you've got 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 for that inverted main.
Yeah. That's awesome to hear about that. What about some future track locations? Do y'all have anything in mind?
Man, I'll tell you what, we've had a lot of feedback on the West Coast. The California wants us to come to California. Obviously everybody wants a round in every city. We can't do that. But we're going to work on it. We're already booking venues for next year. You start booking these things a year in advance. Some of these venues, they've got stipulations on, well, you can't come back every year. They have like an every other year thing. They don't want to saturate the market is what they call it. And also it's got to line up with, we're not trying to go east, west. We're trying to somewhat have it, in line. So these guys aren't crisscrossing. But we're trying to take it into, new markets. We did take it into a few new markets this year. ARENACROSS had never been in Albany, Georgia. So that was round 1. And that was tough. There had never been dirt bike racing in that arena. So the town didn't even know, what we were all about. But Albany, Georgia was one of the new ones. I think Lexington, Kentucky is one of the new ones. Tulsa, Oklahoma, we haven't raced in this particular arena that we're going to since I think 1994. So that's going to be exciting. So that's in 2 weeks. We'll be back here in Tulsa.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. Let's see. What is your future goals as a promoter for ARENACROSS?
I tell you what, like we touched on earlier, my future is to where these guys can make a living. I don't know if you know about the app that we created. Now, this is the brainchild of Robbie McQuarrie. I mean, he, I don't know if he was sitting on the couch or the toilet. I don't know, but he thought of this app one night and made it reality. And I don't know if you know about the app, but it's actually not a phone app yet. It takes a lot longer than people think to actually create those apps, but it's in the process right now. You have to log on to arenacrossusa.com and you can vote or you can donate to your favorite rider. So you go to arenacrossusa.com, you click on the racers page and you see all these profiles. You've got Bitterman, Peters, all of them. And you can donate to your favorite rider. But that's not it. That would just be a GoFundMe at that point. You can donate, then swipe right, and you can motivate. M-O-T-O, motivate. This is what Robbie created. And what it is it's 5 criteria. Okay. I can donate $100 to you, Devin, but you can have that $100 I donated, but I'm going to motivate you with these 5 criteria points and say, if you make the main, I'll give you another 10, 20, 100, whatever monetary value I want. If you get top 15, if you got top 10, if you get top 3, if you win, if you meet those 5 criterias, you also get this money that I put on. And if you don't, if the rider doesn't meet that criteria, he still gets your donate money, and the motivate money will either carry on to the next weekend and he can try again, or that person that motivated can spend their money in the merch department.
That's awesome.
So, lots of ways for these guys to make money. I mean, we've doubled the pro purse from last year. Last year they were racing for $7,000 on a Friday night. We doubled that out of our own pocket this year without talking to a sponsor, without finding out how much money we were getting. We took that out of our own pocket and we doubled it. They're racing for $14,250 on a Friday night.
That's ridiculous.
And if you add in the money they can make on the app, and if we've got time, I'll explain this app a little bit more.
Definitely.
Because I feel like, okay, we're telling these pro riders in the riders meeting how it works, but this has never happened in our sport. So they're still kind of not getting it, fully. B-Ray got it last week. I think he raised like $1,400. So this is a way that you can, okay, I tried to explain this to Kyle Peters. I said, man, how many followers do you have? I got 35,000, something like that. I said, then you ought to be making 35,000 a weekend. That's $1. That's $1 off of every follower that can go to our app and go, boom, 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 boom. I'll donate $1 to you. That's just, and no one's going to donate just $1. That's what's available. And I've told these Supercross guys, I've said, hey, I told Harriman the other day, Harriman showed up to our Reno event. And I said, hey, don't take this personal. Don't get butthurt. I said, but you can keep fooling around with that Supercross stuff and trying to make the main and maybe getting 18th, 19th, whatever. Or you can come over here and be one of the stars of our show and make real money. That's not meant to be an insult. That's promoting our series and saying, listen, guys, there's a way to make money. No more Motel 6. No more sleeping in the van. Get on your social media. We've built the platform. Now you've just got to use it.
Yeah. And we will definitely post that link below. I do want to touch on another subject. What's it like seeing people in the pro ranks that used to race ARENACROSS?
Man, gosh, there's so many. Well, I mean, let's just take our 3-time champ, for example. You know, Kyle Peters last year, before he got hurt, he held a national number of 52. I mean, he, he chooses to do ARENACROSS.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you? You're, two-time, 3-time, possibly a 4-time champ after this year. I mean, you've got the limelight, you've got the fans that adore you. Kyle's a great sport. The kids love him. But he's also got the skills to jump over into Supercross. I mean, think of how many others did it. Stevenson, Antonez, gosh, and some of them did it before, some of them did it after. But either way, you look at it, we've got a lot of guys that have transitioned from ARENACROSS and went on to be good Supercross riders. Jacob Hayes, Tyler Bowers. Gosh, don't get me going down the list. I'll miss a few and they'll be mad. I'm Dennis Hawthorne. Come on. 5-time ARENACROSS champ. What also held a national number. I think the lowest he got was a 24. I know he held a 32, a 35. I mean, dude, it's, and I say it like that because I'm passionate about ARENACROSS. Don't you dare say ARENACROSS is like down here. You know what I mean? Because I'll fight for it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how great it is and how much closer you can get with the athletes. You could never get this close with the athletes in Supercross.
No.
Hell, you're held back by 10 foot of the semi banner. You know what I mean? You're not getting close and interacting with those guys. We've got a pit party that starts at 6 p.m. every Friday night. You can get down and shake these guys' hands and get their autograph, get your picture taken. It's way different than standing in that mile-long line at Supercross.
Yeah. Is there any sponsor shout outs that you want to give?
Dude, I'm so glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked that because I'm sitting here at my desk at home. I've got a few sponsors here with me, and this is not staged. I just happen to have them on my desk. I mean, shoot, I've got merch. Look at this. I've got kicker merch sitting right here. I mean, I'm flooded with it. These guys treat us so well. Kicker #1, Kicker. They are the presenting sponsor. They've been on board with ARENACROSS for years, way before I could even imagine being involved with this. So, I mean, you've got Mad Dog that shows up at every round. He sets up his huge booth. He's got the music, blaring. It's like the best pit party ever. So yeah, Kicker, first and foremost, Parts Unlimited, Sofa brand MX gear. They're new to the sport. I want to say most people would think they're new. They're actually, I think, 3 or 4 years into the sport. They've got a great product. I'm a fan of their gear. They've got a patent on the knee that opens up. You don't even have to take off your gear to put your knee braces on or take them off, whatever. Beehive Blends. Beehive Blends is a CBD product, and that's the one I told you I had on my desk here. Great friend of mine, Chris Miles. Here's one of them. This is Beehive Blends. Look those guys up. I literally I know this looks staged. I literally have this stuff on my desk because I've got bad elbows. I'll rub this stuff on my elbows. This is the cream, and we've got a new product with the arm pump relief. Check this out.
Us old guys definitely need that.
Oh, dude, let me tell you, I'm a huge believer in this. Check this out. This is Beehive Blends arm pump relief. What's awesome about that is there isn't anything like that on the market right now. Sure, you've got powders you can pour in your water and mix it up and drink it. There isn't a roll-on. This is a roll-on. Check this out. Like the old school antiperspirant. You see that? It's got that roll top. You roll this on your forearm, okay? And I'm telling you, I'm a big believer in it. and not just because they're a sponsor, but I believe the stuff works. They've also got a patch they just came out with, not even advertised yet, but they've got a forearm patch, and you stick it on. I was wearing it, I don't know, 60 days ago. I got to ride for the first time in months, and I stuck the patch on my forearm. Totally forgot about it. At the end of the day, I just totally forgot. Went home, took a shower. The patch is still on my arm. So that's how good it sticks on your forearm. And it's got this CBD blend, which is not harmful in any way. You can put this on a 50 rider or an over 50 rider, and the arm pump is gone. I mean, I know it sounds like a sales pitch. It's not. I use this, or it wouldn't be right here on my desk.
Yeah.
Other guys, 110 Nutrition, VP Fuels. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but 110 Nutrition came on board with us this year. I think they're on board for 8 rounds of the 14, and great supplements. Protein powder, pre-workout, stuff like that.
That's awesome. Hey, look, Jack, I do appreciate it. It's awesome for you to come on here, especially with being a new show. Hopefully we can do some future videos with you, man.
Absolutely, man. I encourage you. Reach out to us again, and we'll give you another update in 3 or 4 more rounds.
Awesome. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Devin.